Hi, my name is Grayson Bratana, candidate number 6, Testing Center UX412. I'm presenting an economic solution on the both local and global pressing issue of sea level rise. Now, the background of sea level rise is economically predicted to have $14 trillion a year cost by the year 2100. This is predicted by the Institute of Physics, an organization designed to promote academic and scientific knowledge to the general population. It's important to recognize that this is also quantified as between 0.3 and 9% of global predicted GDP by the year 2100, but these estimates are wide-ranging and we really don't know where that will line up yet. Looking at coastal areas, we have what's known as the LECZ, or Low Elevation Coastal Zone, defined by Barbara Newman of Kiel Institute in Germany and the Institute of Geophysics. She says that by 2060, 1 to 1.4 billion people around the world will be living in what's known as the Low Elevation Coastal Zone. These people are going to be more prone to flooding and sea level rise than other people around the whole world. It's important that we recognize a local issue here in Florida. In Miami Beach, Florida, they've been facing the issue of daytime flooding. Frequent coastal inundation is costing thousands and millions of dollars worth of damages. Reported by Kevin Loria of the Business Insider, he said that in 2018, flooding on the U.S. coastline is expected to be 60% higher than it was just 20 years ago. This is a significant increase and shows that weather patterns are becoming more voracious and more ferocious and damaging people than ever have before. Now, looking again at a national perspective, the National Climate Assessment in 2014 predicted that $23 billion a year will be spent fighting disaster relief and natural disasters by the year 2030. Sea level rise and natural disasters go hand in hand because as sea level rise is influenced by the same factor that influences the ferocity of these storms, which is global warming, sea level rise will increase and these higher water levels will more easily flood and create more dangerous and life-threatening storm surge. There's an estimated 3% hurricane speed increase associated with this, as well as a whopping 50% losses increase. If you saw the news for Hurricane Irma or Hurricane Michael here in the United States, you may have noticed that they were talking billions of dollars worth of damages. And now, by just another 15 years from now or less, there's estimated to be a 50% losses increase from the slight increase in sea level rise and this slight increase in wind speed, but they all compile and create very dangerous situations for people living near the water. A graph from the National Climate Assessment shows how wide these estimates really are, between 1 foot and 4 feet predicted, and that's a wide range because right now it's just over 3 millimeters a year, but this is expected to exponentially increase with time. So it shows that it's also a very unpredictable and dangerous issue that we need to begin adapting to now to preserve as many assets as we can. There's also a $1 trillion predicted damage number cumulative by the year 2050 or 2070, and then from there it will increase exponentially to the $14 trillion predicted by the Institute of Physics. There are almost 6,000 square miles at risk, and half of that at risk is actually here in Florida where we live. Because we're so low lying, the highest point in Florida is just over 320 feet. My economic solution to sea level rise is infrastructure upgrades. Infrastructure being water, energy, and everything that powers society. Infrastructure will be the hardest hit and first hit by these natural disasters and incoming sea level rise, so we need to prepare them now to adapt and be ready for these changes. Looking at this, we have shoring up infrastructure, drainage systems, and individual action that people can take to protect their own properties and businesses. In a study conducted by the state of Louisiana in the U.S. Gulf Coast, the state of Louisiana came up with these numbers, that investing approximately $50 billion over the next 20 years could lead to approximately $135 billion averted losses over the lifetime of these adaptive measures. This is a significant investment because $50 billion saving $135 billion, if you mirror this across the world, the savings become in the trillions very quickly. How this works? Well, on a local level, we have power companies in Florida, quoted by McLaughlin, an investigative journalist for the Northwest Florida Daily News, said that over $5.625 billion have been spent in the last couple of years by Florida power companies to replace and remodel up to 900,000 plus power poles in the state, including some concrete poles to withstand winds over 145 miles an hour, And this caused the turnaround time after most recent natural disaster, Hurricane Irma, to only be 1 or 2 days for the bulk of 90% of the FPL and Duke Energy's customers here in Florida. This is a significant reduction in the downtime from the 1990s and early 2000s, where major storms would have power wiped out for almost 2 weeks for most of the state, not just a fraction. Looking at individual action that people can take, people can build seawalls, costing between $500 and $1,200 per square foot to build. Seawalls can protect property and improve property drainage, allowing businesses and homes to not be less affected by these incoming changes in weather and sea level for a longer period of time. These numbers were quoted from Trueline, a seawall building contractor here in Florida. To take a look back at the issue of Miami Beach, Miami is spending between $400 million and $500 million US dollars to raise the city by 2 feet, and this project is ongoing. 13% of the city has been raised, a total of 2 feet, and this is reported by Alex Harris of the Miami Herald. The reason that this 2 feet is significant is, if you recall, the 1 to 4 foot prediction range. If medium range severity estimates prove to be the most accurate, only the city is now safe for almost 100 years, and this is a huge amount. On a more global level, the United States is paying between $270 and $475 billion per meter of sea level rise to protect energy infrastructure and combat shoreline retreat, which is one of the leading costs that sea level rise is having. Here locally, we've watched an ocean highway called A1A begin to cave into the ocean after recent natural disasters. This is an example of that. These costs will only go up as time goes on. Other perspectives to take a look at this issue by my group members were environmental and technological. The issue with environmental is just by eliminating single-use plastic bottles, we only slow climate change, which is a guaranteed change. Sea levels will still continue to rise, even if they're slightly slowed, and we still will not be prepared to deal with their damaging effects. Technological is not the best solution either, because while aquifer restoration systems do provide a great technology-sourced solution, they really do follow under infrastructure, because our water is part of our infrastructure. Looking toward the future, adaptation, mitigation, and protection are the cornerstones of what we need to protect our society for the future. By protecting our infrastructure and preparing society for rising sea levels, we will do the best good for the most of humanity. The next steps that we need are additional research, education, and monitoring of trends. By doing these things, we will best equip society with the tools necessary to minimize damage and increase cost efficiency. Thank you.